Hello to you, friends. This is Dhamma on Air number 22. Recorded in the middle of May on a misty day in the back garden up here. There are 6 questions, but first a normal intro. Then there's a dog. Hey doggy, wash off. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahato Samma-Sambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened as the blessed Buddha. Question number 36. People send in a lot of questions, and maybe it's difficult to find out when their question comes, because now I have questions for 2 or more or 3 more Dhamma on airs. So I will number all questions, and then I will send back a ticket. When people ask a question, I send back a ticket, say they have a question number 742, and so on. It should be, if I record one every week to the end of my death, then it should be something like 5,900 questions in all. But we'll see about that. That should be enough, to inform the human beings about what the Dhamma is and it's not. So this is question number 36. Do we have some instructions for the first try of meditation? We can take the beginning of the beginning. Sit in the morning. Don't sit after you have eaten, because then you become too tired because your belly is full. Don't sit after coming home from work, because then you're too tired. Sit in the morning, 5 or 6, but it can be done any time of day and any place in the world, in any situation. You can also meditate in the bus, in the queue, in the supermarket, and so on. About the posture, find a silent place. Outside is best, can also be inside. Ideally where there's no other people, so there will be no echoes of consciousness going around, between social echoes between the meditators. Sit on the floor, don't sit on a chair. It's best to sit on the floor, it's more grounded, and it's also the classic. Sit so you, like me, I have my bottom this size over the flat area. So this means that your knees can come a little bit down, especially if you're a beginner. Sit with a straight back, legs crossed. Not necessarily in full lotus, but just legs crossed. If you get pain in the knee or in the hips, then stretch the legs for a short period of time, 10-15 minutes. If that doesn't help, then raise up and stand a little bit on each leg like this. Then sit down again. Sit with a straight back. The way of sitting with a straight back is to take and put your thumb here in the angle where the jaw has kind of like an angle. The jawbone goes here, then it goes up to the ear. Then there's an angle here where there's a kind of like a soft corner. If you take this with your thumb, and then you lift up like that, and suddenly you sit correctly. Sit first completely stretched out backwards, then it's too much. If you don't sit straight, you will start to fall forward when you are very relaxed. Maybe you'll find yourself sleeping like that. I did that several times. So the kind of cosmic traction upward here in the angle of the lower jaw. Whoop, then you are there. Just remember that. Another point of focus regarding posture is the chin. Don't make the chin fall down. As soon as the chin falls down, you notice chin falling down. Just keep the focus here. Chin falling down, up with the chin. First before the chin down, then the shoulders come on, and then 15 minutes after you're sleeping, you'll be tendency to lie down on one of the sides. Or sleep with the head down like that. So that's the posture. And choose an easy method for beginners is breathing meditation, where you focus on the point in the nostrils where the air touch. If you breathe in 2 or 3 times very forcefully, then you can feel where it is. Just keep the focus there. Then notice what thoughts are passing. But don't follow these thoughts. As soon as you start thinking on whatever thought it is, your childhood, economy, future, worries, and so on, you hold it back. So you should continuously have a focus here on the bridge test. Then you just label whatever comes into your mind. Worries. Erotic fantasies. Childhood memories. Just label like that. At the same time, you keep your focus here. Then start with 20 minutes, and then crank it up to 30 minutes. After that, I will recommend you go into regular standard breathing meditation, Anapanasati meditation, which is a method that all Buddhas use at their night of enlightenment, which has no side effects, which can lead to all 4 jhanas, rupa jhanas, all 4 mental absorptions, and which is both calm and insight, samatha, vipassana. So it contains everything, has no side effects. It's a method that is unique. It's unique. It can take you all the way up to Nibbana. So start with that. It tranquilizes conceptual thinking. And that's good for everyone who comes from a Western society to get that done, to tranquilize the inner chatter and to get more clarity. That's just the samatha part. Then when the mind is calm and thereby also clear, one can see through and get insight. When getting insight, one makes progress along the noble way to Nibbana. And life becomes much, much more easier. Gradually, not at day one, but little by little, drop by drop, minute by minute. What will become easier is to handle emotional situations. Stress, worries, fear of death, fear of economy, and so on. Fear of the future, uncertainty, doubt, perplexity, hopelessness, a feeling of meaninglessness with the entire world. This can be handled much better. It's called emotional intelligence. Normal intelligence also goes up something like 10-15% points. Some say 15-20 points even. So you'll be better equipped, better clothed, mentally speaking, to solve various kinds of problems. I think this is the first. You can go on a breathing meditation. It's called Anapanasati. Anna, breathe in. Panna, breathe out. Sati, mindfulness or awareness. Awareness of breathing in and breathing out. Anapanasati. You can find on my website, whatbuddhasaid.net. Just search for Anapanna or breathing meditation or just breath. And there you'll find there's a lot of Dhamma drops, and there's also a small manual written by Viññana Namoli, which contains all the Buddha said about that technique. It's not an easy technique, but it's a very rewarding technique. Very rewarding technique. So I can recommend it very much. This was the first question. Question number 37 is about, please explain the rarity of human rebirth and the emergence of a Buddha. So human rebirth is really rare. We can say, for example, if we fall down to the level of the dog who was here, or the birds who are living here, and you probably can hear. Then they asked the Buddha one time, what's the chance of you coming back from a lower state, from an animal state, to a human state? A rough chance, can you give a simile? Yes, he said, I can give a simile. Then he gave the following simile, very famous. It's the simile of the blind turtle. It's a blind sea turtle. It swims around in the ocean, and it only dives up and take a breath every 100 years. Very tough sea turtle. It's completely blind, cannot see anything. Then you have a yoke, a wooden ring. You throw it into the water. It drifts around on the 7 oceans for 100 years. The chance of going from an animal rebirth to a human rebirth is the same as the chance that when this blind turtle dives out after 100 years, it dives out by chance, right up and get the yoke around its head, right up, and the yoke is the same place where the sea turtle is. The probability for that is of course not zero. It's not pure zero, but it's very small indeed. That's the same probability for going from an animal state to a human state. And of course the probabilities, if you come from an even lower state, hungry ghost state, angry demon state, or hell being state, it is even lower. So human rebirth is really rare. Therefore it's crucial to use this rebirth to something useful, because we say it's a happy destiny. Why? Because you are screaming happy all life as humans? No. It's because humans have a much better chance than both the animals and also the divine devas to lift themselves up to a higher state by doing something good. That is to gain merit and develop along the noble way, the noble eightfold way. This can be done by humans, but it's very difficult to do for animals. And animals don't know. And devas, they don't care, because they live in so much luxury. So it's a very difficult issue for human beings to do that. But that's the chance. One can do it. One can do it, and therefore we should do it. So it's exceedingly rare to be a human being compared to all the other animals. They say there's 100,000 tons of shrimps in the Southern Ocean, close to the Antarctica. And these shrimps are the krill. It's a very small one. You cannot eat them, but the whales eat them. So just imagine how many beings are swimming down there, just in the Southern Ocean. Think of how many ants there are and insects there are. It's the most common species, group of species on planet Earth. So if we take all animals together and all humans together, then you can evaluate how often it happens that a human go to an insect state and an insect go to a human state, because of the numbers and their living times. Usually their living times is shorter than human, but that makes the problem even worse. So it's much more easy to fall down. Most beings are accumulated at the level of animals and lower than that. And there's a very, very few at the human level and even fewer at the divine level. They are not cities. They're up there. Everybody knows each other by name. The emergence of a Buddha is even rarer, because it takes that somebody has promised to be a Buddha. a long time ago. And there are examples that from eon 30 to eon number 91, Kalpa universal cycles from Big Bang to Big Bang. So there were no Buddha. So this means that for 60 universal cycles, you could not see a Samma-Buddha here on planet Earth. So this explains some that you can have some about that one can come to have to wait for a very, very long time before seeing a Buddha. And therefore, when the sasana, when the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha Dhamma, the Sat Dhamma, the true Dhamma, still is here on planet Earth, then we should utilize the chance. Because we don't know when we get a chance again. In the next universe, for example, there will be no Buddha. There will be no Buddha. In the next universe again, there will come two. But in this universe, there comes one more Buddha. There have already been 4. There comes number 5. The noble Arya Ajita Vitaya. The unconquerable friend is his name. Or invincible friendliness could also be a direct translation of his name. You should hope to meet him, and there's a good chance that you actually will, and then attain Nibbana from his explanation, doing his sasana, either while he's alive or after his death. So it goes without saying that it's not something one should ditch or reckon as insignificant to having become a human. One does significant good, but also some clumsy things. Now is the time, now is the chance to improve, to purify the mind, to gain calm, to gain peace, to gain contentment, and thereby approach Nibbana. Coming closer to it, not moving away from it. Question 38. How does one develop insight into making big decisions about life and career? Yes, first one has to consider what is important in one's career. It's of course best to have a job which you like, because then it's not like you're going to work. For example, even though I, formally speaking, am working here, I'm not actually working in my heart, because I like what I do. So if you love what you do, you have a burning interest for it, and think it's something good to do, then that's the choice. Huh? If one cannot find out where one's talents are and what is good to do and what one likes, then I will recommend also the same breathing meditation, and then focus on getting calm. Usually it is so, and it's described many times in the text, when the monks are in doubt about this or that, then they'll sit down and meditate. When they are meditating, suddenly the answer to their questions appear in mind. And you're sure this is the right answer. It comes not by itself, it's conditioned by the mind has been working with this question for a long time. But there's a lot of noise, a lot of distraction. Then when you take the noise and distraction down, then suddenly the answer can emerge like a bubble or a ball who's kind of like blobbing up onto the surface of the water. Then suddenly you can see it. I say, there it is. It has come above the surface of distraction. All this boiling distraction inside the mind. Now it's up, now I can see it. That's the answer to my question. I should do this and that in my life. So, question number 39 was, what actually constitutes right livelihood? I read up the definition. The Noble Eightfold Way leading to Nibbana is simply this: right view, right motivation, right speech, right action, right livelihood. This was this one. Right effort, right awareness, and right concentration. But what is right livelihood? Right mode of living, right mode of earning to the expenses of life. There's a fivefold definition of right livelihood. 1. Earning a living not involving any trading with living beings, such as trading with cows, pigs, fish that are alive, chickens that are alive, that are meant for butchery. Because this is harmful for them, obviously, then harmful for the seller, for those who live by it. Selling, for example, pets that will have a nice life is not a wrong livelihood. 2. Earning a living not involving any selling of meat, fish, or flesh. That is any kind of butchery business or selling meat or flesh inside a shop or a store or even a restaurant is a wrong livelihood. 3. Earning a living not involving any selling of any form of weapons, whether weapons used for humans or weapons used for animals or any other kind of live beings. Any kind of weapons. Earning a living by that, by constructing them, planning them, selling them, any kind of dealing with weapons is wrong livelihood. You're harming others by earning money, then it means that you harm yourself. 4. Earning a living not involving any dealing with alcohol or illegal drugs. Any kind of selling alcohol or producing alcohol for consumption. Any kind of being in a shop that sells alcohol, earning a living there is wrong livelihood. Living in earning in a pharmacy, for example, a pharmacist is not livelihood because they sell prescription drugs. But buying prescription drugs and selling to another one, or getting prescription drugs and selling to another one illegally, that's wrong livelihood. Big epidemic of addiction and death of prescription drugs in United States right now. Big deal. Big deal. Driven by pharmacy companies, dirty politics, and sloppy doctors. A lot of patients also who go for it and become hooked on it and eventually die. It can be very short from the first time they take prescription drugs, usually Percocet, oxycodone or something like that, to their overdose death is something like 3 to 6 months. So very rapidly it progresses. One should be very careful with that. Opiates are dangerous. 5. Earning a living not selling any form of poison. That is right livelihood. Any poison towards human beings or towards any other kinds of beings, such as insecticides, not pesticides are used for example, for plants, but insecticides that kills insects. They were earning a living by selling that or producing that or planning that or anything that has to do with any kind of poison. That's wrong livelihood. We're taking them again. 1. Earning a living not involving any trading with living beings. Earning a living not involving trading with selling of meat, fish or flesh. Earning a living not involving any form of selling of weapons. Earning a living not involving any dealing with alcohol, drugs or illegal drugs. Earning a living not involving any selling or any form of poison. That is right livelihood. The characterization of right livelihood for lay people. Any livelihood that neither involves any killing, injuring, harming, nor any forced imprisoning of any living being, neither stealing nor taking what was not giving or cheating, any bribery, nor any corruption or lying or false deceiving, tricks or use of false measures and weights, neither sensual nor any sexual abuse, neither the use of selling alcohol or of intoxicating drugs that causes carelessness, among those, for example, also marijuana and pot. Neither by oneself nor by getting or inciting other employed beings to do so. Such is right livelihood. That should cut it clear, huh? The explanation of right livelihood for Buddhist monks and nuns. Neither living nor receiving food by astrology, soothsaying, prediction of future events, nor by palmistry, geomancy, dream reading, charms and spells, amulets, production or selling, or fake divination. Neither living by any rituals, running errands or message, political flatter, arranging marriages, funerals or divorces, by medical practice or by producing art, painting for example, or poetry, or by professional disputation or debate. That is right livelihood. Knowing right and wrong livelihood for monks. Knowing right and wrong livelihood as right and wrong livelihood is right view. Awareness of presence of right and wrong livelihood is right awareness. Knowing it, of course, then you know, you have these definitions in your head. So you know it. Awareness of it in any given moment, that's right awareness. Exchanging wrong livelihood with right livelihood, that is right effort. So there you more or less got the entire Noble Way connected around right livelihood. Samma-Ajiva. I hope this cut this clear. Question number 40. Please comment on these two statements. The human body does only have one consciousness. I would say that is not correct actually, because consciousness is defined at least as 6 different things. When you think something or have a mental state and you're conscious about that, you're conscious about having an idea, then this is mental consciousness. When you see something, seeing this video, the consciousness that perceives that video, that these colors and these gestures and movement, this is visual consciousness. The sound that is conscious and aware about my words, my speech, that is auditory consciousness. The one you smell with is olfactory consciousness. The one you taste with is gustatory consciousness. And the one you touch with, you feel something in your body. You have a feeling when you sit on a chair, or maybe pain in the back or pain in the knee. That is tactile consciousness. And so, these 6 kinds of consciousness. So consciousness is only one. Then there's a second aspect. This is consciousness is momentary, it's blinking. It lasts only one Dhamma, one mental moment, which is very short. Buddha didn't say exactly how short it was, except that it is faster than a lightning, blitz of a lightning. But how much faster, we don't know. If it's a Planck moment, then this is approximately 6 times 10 to the minus 43 seconds. If that's the limit, but it could also be 17 like that, but this means only it's 10 to the minus 42 seconds. So this means that approximately 1 moment of consciousness lasts 1 billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a billionth and 100,000th of that of a second. So it's very, very short, very, very short. So the clock frequency of consciousness is extremely fast, much faster than present-day computers. Much, much faster. Close to the absolute fastness anything can blink with, namely the Planck frequency. There are so mental consciousness that they cannot be counted. Again, it's not really true. You can say it's true in this sense that in 1 second there is this 100,000 billion consciousness, and in an hour there's then 3,600 times that. But nevertheless, it's not really a true statement, because if you kind of like divide it up according to early Buddhism, according to Abhidhamma, then there's 89 different kinds of consciousness or classes of consciousness. And they are, of course, all consciousness is mental by nature. And consciousness is not physical. So both statements are on the verge of being correct, but if you look at it at the exact point, it's not exactly correct. I hope this clear this case out. You can go into the Abhidhamma. Also go to my website, whatbuddhasaid.net, and then search for consciousness. And that's actually a lot of explanation of consciousness and definitions of consciousness. It is something that the Buddha excelled in, is defining consciousness. But if one should have a grasp on it just immediately, then one should start by dividing up in 6. Mental consciousness, visual consciousness, olfactory consciousness, gustatory consciousness, and tactile consciousness. This is enough. This is enough. Obviously, one cannot see anything with the ear. There was a nun at the Buddha's time. She meditated upon the wish that she could come to see out her ear. Crazy thing, huh? He told her so. You're meditating for a wrong purpose. And also, if we changed about, let's say we took the optical nerve and then stitched it to the hearing nerve, and then vice versa, the brain will not be able to interpret the signals, because it's a pattern recognition, and the patterns coming in through the eye is different than the patterns coming in through the ear. They have a whole lot of characteristics. So these two parts of consciousness doesn't overlap. And it gives already a kind of like a handle on the reality we perceive is only some selected, 6 kinds of selected aspects of this reality that we never can touch with anything else, because we only have these 6 kinds of sensors, these 6 kinds of consciousness. That's what we have to go with. But this doesn't say anything. For example, the eye can only see within a very small spectrum of visible light. If you could see with X-rays, what would you see? If you could see with gamma rays, what would you see? If you could see with radio waves, what would you see? We cannot say, really. Huh? Another issue is this olfactory consciousness. They're very short-ranged, and they're also only sensitive to certain stimuli, salt, sour taste, and so on. It has to be, it's very short-ranged. Huh? So our range of perception is limited in an extreme sense, and that is nevertheless what defines our reality. So if reality is so much here, then we have access to so much here, and cannot really say anything about other aspects of reality, because we have no sensors that we can receive an input from reality to thereby characterize reality. What we're really characterizing is our input, and thereby the characteristics of our senses, more than actually the real nature of the nature out there. The last question, starts to rain again, is question 41. Is there any way we can reconnect with our pure consciousness in order to have a clear heart and mind? Yes, we can connect to our consciousness. It's first done by meditation. It's a gradual way. The limitation is then limited before you start on the pillow. It's limited by the degree of moral purity. And that is the ethical accumulation you have done, the mix of good and bad and neutral you have done through all existences, and in particular yesterday, and the day before that, and the year before that, and 20 years ago, and this life in general. So it's first a moral purification, and after that takes over a mental purification by getting rid of the defilements, mental defilements. And then one comes in to see the pure mind itself. The pure mind itself, Buddha said, is appasara. It shines from everywhere. And it shines also out on anywhere. It's non-local. It shines from all sides, and it shines to all sides at the same time. It's not local anywhere. It's more like a field of consciousness, in relation to light also. That can light on anything. And if there's no light sources, if it gets the light sources everywhere, then it can also shine from everywhere. This is reconnected with by following the Noble Eightfold Path to the end. And ultimately speaking, you reconnect with your pure consciousness at the moment of enlightenment. Bodhi. Now it starts to rain, so I think we'll finish for today. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahato Samma-Sambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened is the blessed Buddha. Remember to click subscribe down there and like also if you like to do that, so you can get a message whenever there's a new video. Share this with your friends who are worth listening to, and have a nice day.